Hello, bonjour Alberta. Did you know that at least 238,000 people speak Français in Alberta? And those numbers just keep on growing? Oui, oui, c'est vrai, it's true. And thanks to Shaw TV Community Access Programming, we get to reach out to everyone to let you know all about special people, places, events, and activities happening right here in this great province, in both English and en français. That's right, mes amis. We begin the first part of our program in English, and then we repeat it en français. So stay with us. Restez à l'écoute.
Welcome everyone to Hello, Bonjour, Alberta. First episode of Season 9. I'm your host, Anne Boiteau, and today we're speaking to an amazing, trailblazing, and very interesting lady, Michèle Stanners. Michèle is a cultural strategist, a brand specialist, an executive leader, and of course, a bilingual Calgarian. She is presently the interim executive director of Making Treaty 7. Welcome, Michèle.
Well, thank you, and I'm very grateful to be here.
So before we start talking about what you're doing right now, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and what kind of environment it was when you were growing up.
Well, the first thing that people ask you in Calgary if you speak French is, where are you from? And yes, I'm from St. Boniface in Manitoba, which is actually the largest Francophone community west of Quebec. So I grew up in a perfectly bilingual environment in a wonderful home with my mom and dad, and we were three children, my older brother Robert, my younger sister Roxanne. And I think my best memories of being a child were our cottage on Lake Manitoba. And it was really funny because we had a little teeny cottage, but because we were the last ones on the line, so to speak, my brother used to say, we have a really small camp, but a really big beach. And we did, in a big, big lake, you know, so that was great. And also, I think my education, if there's one thing I'm enormously grateful to my parents, is that education and post-secondary education was like not an option. We had to go, and you know, it was non-negotiable. So I was very fortunate at the time. The Collège Saint-Boniface was a Jesuit college, so I got to go to a Jesuit college for high school. And
they
anyway,
had girls.
They let go. My mother was a trailblazer, and she couldn't understand why only boys were at this school. There should be girls. So anyway, that only lasted. The Jesuits gave up after 2 years with the girls. But anyway, that wasn't me. And the other, I guess, it is important to mention what happened at the lake. You know, when I was a little girl, one of the things that I found on the beach, it's a wonderful archaeological site there, Indian arrowheads. What we would call Indian arrowheads. And I remember as a 5-year-old picking one up and saying, oh my God, Dad, what is this? Wouldn't have said, here's this, what is this? Who made this? Where did these people come from? And my curiosity for all that's First Nations, all that's Aboriginal started then. And that took me through my university years. I moved to Alberta at the age of, I quit the piano. That's another important piece. That wasn't a good idea. Much to the dismay of many, I quit the piano. I played the piano as a little girl, danced ballet, played the piano. Ballet came back into my life later. Piano came back into my life later. But I moved to Alberta for 1 year. But I've been here ever since. So I moved to Calgary. I went to law school, did an MBA and a law degree, and I moved to Calgary, articled, and practiced law for a while. But my real passion was in the nonprofit world. And I think also that whole, you know, as I was talking about curiosity about other cultures and other worlds, and I was a Francophone, so I was totally immersed in French and in English, and I could understand both those worlds. I really wanted to do things that were important for the country. You know, we have a big, huge country with a lot of diversity and divergence in languages, in cultures, in ways of thought, in religion. And anyway,
the link.
The link and how do we build the bridges? So I was very fortunate to move from the practice of law right through the referendum. We launched a great initiative called Together for Canada, Ensemble au Canada. And then the Canadian Unity Council approached me and asked me if I would set up their Calgary office, their Western office. So within a very short time, I was running that whole organization for all of the West and the North. And I got to travel to Nunavut and Yellowknife and great, got to know the West anyway very, very well. And that was exciting. And we launched all kinds of really great projects while I was working with the Canadian Unity Council. So.
Yes, and how long were you with the
good
Unity
10 years.
Council?
Good 10 years, and we had a lot of autonomy. We were able to explore different areas where we felt it would be important to build bridges. So one of them was a young leaders dialogue series. How do we get young people more engaged? So that was a lot of fun, and Enbridge was a wonderful sponsor of that. In fact, I think I was in an ad at some point, and they made me draw a maple leaf.
Yes, I believe we've got a picture of that
but
too.
it looked more like a marijuana plant. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I think they doctored it, so that was good. Maybe it's hard to draw a maple leaf. Anyway, okay, and then. Also, another project that we did there, again, back to my little girl finding the arrowhead. I always felt that if we could get First Nations and like non-Aboriginal and Aboriginal women of influence together for even a weekend, we could probably learn a lot from each other, and we might be able to solve some problems.
Yes.
So we launched this wonderful project back in 2000 called Crossroads. And it was all about coming together for a weekend to explore the opportunities and challenges facing urban Aboriginal youth. And it was such an extraordinary moment for all of us. Most non-Aboriginal women don't have an Aboriginal friend, have never had a meal, don't know anything really and about that whole world. And it was really exciting. And I remember one point where we were trying to decorate talking sticks, and here we were, all of us white girls, looked like kindergarten, and these beautiful works of art that our First Nations sisters were making, and like we were all learning from them. And there's the tragedy that we've never felt that we have anything to learn from other people. Well, Canadians less than maybe others in the world, but I really believe that Canadians want to learn more. We do want to learn about other people. That's what we're all about, and about other cultures. And when we travel the world, people like us. They like us because we are able to put ourselves in someone else's moccasins or sabots or shoes or whatever. So anyway, it always makes me very proud to be Canadian when we do things like this. So.
And then you moved on a little bit.
Well, I love the nonprofit. I also love the arts. I'm a pianist. I went back to the piano at the age of 40,
Was that hard?
Oh, well, first I missed it so much. I missed it so desperately that I finally had to go back. And it was thanks to the Honens International Piano Competition that we've just had here, which is wonderful. I met one of the pianists and we got to talking, and I thought, I wonder, could I go back? So I went back and I did my grade 8, grade 9, and grade 10. Which meant I had to practice, and I was traveling with the council all the time. So I got to practice on Glenn Gould's piano at Rideau Hall, and I got to practice at the Metropole in Moscow, or I could find a piano anywhere, any city, whether it's a church or whatever. You can find a piano if you need one. So I finished my grade 8, my grade 9, and my grade 10. I played in the Pro-Am at Honens, which was so much fun. It was so nerve-wracking. I won for best shoes. What can I say? Didn't matter. Yes, so
good.
That was great.
Good.
And so that was a lot of fun. Went into the world of the arts. I think there's a picture of me as a young girl dancing the ballet. Well, I quit the ballet, but I went to the ballet company, and there I was the executive director for 2 years with mon collègue Jean Grandmaite. We had a lot of fun, both francophones. It was wonderful. And then the province approached me to ask me if I would help them with their first cultural policy. So we did the cultural policy, and then after that, I had an opportunity to go spend some time at Harvard. So I couldn't pass that up. It was with the Weatherhead Center for International Affairs, and we got to do a number of different excursions. We went off to visit West Point. There were just a myriad of things that we did. And again, I came to Alberta for 1 year, stayed forever, went to Harvard for 1 year, stayed for 4.
a few years.
Stayed for 4 years and really enjoyed that.
And right now, you went back to that interest.
Back to my roots now, where I was again, now combining art and First Nations. The two worlds have come together for me through this incredible project called Making Treaty 7. And
tell us a little bit about
well,
Making
you know,
Treaty 7.
people who know a little bit about it, your audience will remember Calgary 2012 when we were the cultural capital, and Michael Green was the artistic director. And Michael immersed himself through that year with First Nations culture and felt strongly that a legacy project that would be worthwhile would be to create some kind of artistic piece, theater, which is where he was from, his background was in theater. Could we recreate the treaty that was signed in 1877, the most important document that was signed in this province, or in southern Alberta, between the 5 First Nations, the Blackfoot, which are three Blackfoot nations, and the Stoney, and the Tsuut'ina. And if we could recreate that, and he brought together First Nations and non-First Nations artists who created works, beautiful works, a whole series of skits and scenes and spoken word and dance and song and satire and
I think we've got a little clip.
You've got one scene? Let's play the one scene.
Okay.
I want to get rid of the Indian problem. I want to get rid of the Indian problem. I want to get rid of the Indian problem. I want to get rid of the Indian problem. I do not think, as a matter of fact, that the country ought to continuously protect a class of people that are able to stand alone. Our objective is to continue until there is not a single Indian in Canada that has not been absorbed into the body politic. And there is no Indian question and no Indian department. That is the objective of this bill. Deputy Superintendent General Duncan Campbell Scott, Department of Indian Affairs, 1920.
In Canada, at least 150,000 children were taken from their families and placed into residential schools. More than 80,000 survivors are still alive today. In the Treaty 7 area, it is estimated more than 4,000 children died in these schools. Red Deer, Gleason, Cluny, Dunbow just south of Calgary, Brockett, Cardston.
These numbers are never certain, as the Canadian government has yet to release the data to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
So that is an amazing clip.
Well, it's an amazing show.
Yes.
And I think people know that we lost Michael Green and Narcissus Blood, our spiritual leader, in a tragic car accident last February. I was an advisor to the board and an advisor to Michael, who was my longtime friend. We had so many adventures together. I remember when we were at the Governor General Awards together. And so they asked me, the board asked me if I would step in to see if we could keep this going, this very important legacy project. And in fact, this community is so incredible, and not one person can replace Michael Green. Many of us have stepped up, and we're putting on a show.
And when is that show?
It's September 23, 24, 25. Here in Calgary at the brand new Bella Concert Hall, which is amazing in itself. And we added 2 school matinees, which are completely sold out.
Wow.
And created some curriculum around that for the students from the Calgary Board of Education, Catholic Board, and the First Nations schools.
So we invite everyone to come and see that, and you do have the website, which we'll put up.
It's extraordinary, yes.
Michèle, it was a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you very much for coming.
I thank you.
And to all of you, please stay tuned. We continue en français.